Hi everyone, welcome to part F. The secret word for this section is Hyrule. To repeat, the secret word is pronounced Hyrule. So for this section we'll be doing problems involving discounts and taxes. Problem 1 says, the Nintendo Switch has a retail price of $300. If Jarelli has a coupon for 20% off, how much will he pay? So for this problem, it's always best to start by drawing out a bill. This bill will have three parts. First, the retail price, which I'll just abbreviate with an R. Then the discount, which I'll abbreviate with a D. And then finally, the final sales price, which I will abbreviate with an S. So to find the retail price, we just have to read the problem, and it says the retail price is $300. So we can write 300 right here. To find the discount, we need to figure out what 20% is of 300. So to do that, we can just draw one of our ratio tables. And then put 300 right here. And since 300 is 100% of 300, we can write 100 down here. And then we can just divide by 10 to get to 10, and then divide 300 by 10 to get to 30. And then finally, we can multiply by 2 to get up to 20. And when we multiply by 2 up here, we'll get an answer of 60. So we can write 60 over here, subtract that from the retail price, and we will get the final sales price of $240. So this means that Jarelli will wind up paying only $240 for his Nintendo Switch because he has a coupon for 20% off. In other words, he's getting a discount of 20%. Moving on to the second problem. This one says, Mr. O'Brien decides to buy a shirt from H&M. The shirt retails at $60. If there is a 15% sales tax, then what will the final price of the shirt be? So we can start off again by drawing our bill. And for the retail price, we can just read this sentence here. It says $60, so we can draw 60 here. This is the retail price, this is the tax, and this is the sales price. Next, we need to figure out what the 15% sales tax is going to be. So to do this, we can draw another ratio table. Starting off with 60 at 100%. And then there's a couple ways we can do this problem, but I'm just going to do it one way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off by dividing this lower part by 10 to get to 10, and then doing the same thing at the top to get to 6. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide this by 10 again to get down to 5. I'm going to divide 10 by 2 to get down to 5, and then divide 6 by 2 to get to 3. Finally, I can multiply 5 by 3 to get up to 15. And when I multiply 3 by 3, I will get my final answer of 9. So in other words, a 15% sales tax on a $60 shirt is going to be $9. Because this is a tax, I will add it, and I will wind up with a final sales price of $69. So, in other words, the answer is $69. Now let's move on to problem 3. So this problem says, Shania is looking to buy a pair of Beats by Dre Solo 2 headphones. these normally cost $130 on Amazon, but today there's a special one-day 35% off sale. What will the final sales price be? So the question we ultimately want to answer is what is going to be the final sales price? So this is going to be a bit like the first problem because it involves a sale. In other words, we'll be subtracting some amount of money from the original price. But to start off, we can draw our bill again. And we want to figure out the retail price, a discount, and then the final sales price. So the retail price, it says, is $130. So I will draw that right here. The discount is going to be 35% off the retail price. So we can do the same thing of making a ratio table. So this time we'll have 130 right here, 100 down here. So for this problem, we're trying to get to 35%. To do that, we want to get down to some number which is a factor of 35% and then multiply up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find 5% and then multiply up. To start off, we can divide 100 by 10 and get down to 10, and divide 130 by 10, and get down to 13. Next, we can divide this by 2, 10 by 2, and get to 5, and divide 13 by 2 and get to 6.5. Finally, we can multiply 5 by 7 and get up to 35. And then we can multiply 6.5 by 7 and get the final answer of 45.5. Sorry, that's really badly written. So the discount will be $45.50, which we will subtract from 130 and get our final answer of $84.50. So the final answer will be $84.50. For problem 4, we're back to Jorelli and his Nintendo Switch. So you'll notice that the problem says that the Nintendo Switch still retails at $300, and Jorelli still has a coupon for 20% off the price. However, we're now also adding a 10% sales tax to the calculation. So we still have to figure out how much Jorelli will pay for his Nintendo Switch. So we can start the same way, writing out our bill. This time we'll, though, have to add a few more parts to it. So we still have a retail price. We still have a discount. Now we're going to find a new sales price. And then we're also going to find a tax and the final price. So the first two parts are going to be just like problem 1. So the retail price is $300. The discount we already found back in problem 1, and if you'll remember, that was $60. If you don't remember why that was, just rewind the video and play it from the beginning. So the new sales price is going to be $240 because 300 minus 60 is 240. Now we need to find the tax. So it says the tax is 10%. And always remember, a sales tax is just a kind of tax. So there's nothing special about it. So we can make our ratio table starting off with 240. So remember, we don't start with 300 because we've already discounted it, the price by $60. So we have to start with $240. So this will be 100%. Now to get to 10%, we just divide 100 by 10, and we do the same thing on top to get 240 divided by 10 equals 24. So the tax will be $24. And finally, to get the final sales price, which I just wrote final here for, we add 24 to 240, and we wind up with 264. So Jarelli will end up paying $264 for his Nintendo Switch, because now we not only have a discount of $60, we also have a 10% tax, which amounts to $24. So the final answer is 264. Our next problem says Brian has a 25% off coupon for Urban Outfitters. He decides to use it on a hoodie with a retail price of $50. If there's also a 5% sales tax, then what will be the final price of Brian's hoodie after the discount and the sales tax? So this problem is just like the one we saw before, except the information is given in a slightly different order. So here we see that the coupon is 25% off, and then we see that the retail price is $50. But we can still draw our bill out like before. Finding the retail price, the discount, the new sales price, and then we're going to also find a tax and a final price. So the retail price, it says, is $50 for the hoodie that Brian wants to buy. The discount is going to be 25% off. So to find that, we just use the same old ratio table that we've been using. We start with 50 at 100%. We can divide by 10 to get to 10, and divide 50 by 10 to get to 5. And then we can divide 10 by 2 to get to 5, and then divide 5 by 2 to get to 2.5. Finally, we can multiply 5 by 5 to get our answer of 25, and then multiply 2.5 by 5 to get 12.5. So the discount will be $12.5, and 50 minus 12.5 is going to be $37.5. But we're not done yet, because we also need to find the sales tax, which it says is 5%. So to do this, we need to draw another ratio table, because we've already applied the discount, so we can't use this ratio table up here. Instead, we have to make a new ratio table. Starting at $37.50, and then 100%. And then what we can do is we can divide 100 into 10 to get 10, 10 by 2 to get 5, and then do the same thing up here. So 37.5 divided by 10 will be 3.75, and 3.75 divided by 2 will be this really weird number, 1.875. So the tax then will be 1.875. And it's very important at this point, even though this is a really weird decimal number that goes into the thousandths place, to not, I repeat, not round at this point. So keep the full number. And then because it's a tax, we'll add it. So the final answer will be 37.5 plus 1.875 is 39.378. $39.378. That's an 8. $39.378, and when you actually go to pay this bill, since we don't have coins that go into the thousandth place like this, they'll probably just round up. So they'll say something like 39.38 dollars. But the real answer, as I said, is $39.378. So now we can move on to the next problem. This problem says a can of soda costs $2 at the bodega. Today, there's a 25% discount on all cans of soda, and the state sales tax is 10%. Numa decides to buy 5 cans of soda. How much will she pay after the discount and the tax? So this problem involves Numa buying multiple items. She's buying 5 cans of soda. As we discussed in class, there's a couple strategies you can use to solve this problem. You can either figure out the total price, the final price of 1 can of soda and then multiply by 5, or you can start by multiplying the retail price of $2 by 5 and then going from there. I'll explore each of these strategies in a bit more detail. So let's start with the item first strategy. So the item first strategy can be done as follows. We can start by doing the same old bill as before. And finding the retail price, the discount, the new sales price, the tax, and then the final price. So we see that the retail price of 1 can of soda at this bodega is $2. So we write that down here. The discount is going to be 25%. So to figure that out, we make a ratio table starting with $2 at a 100%. And then there's a couple of things that we can do here, but to be quick, I'm just going to divide by 4 to get to 25. And divide this by 4 to get to 0.5. So the discount is going to be $0.5, and the new sales price is going to be $1.50 because we're subtracting 0.5 from 2. So this part is the finding the discount part. Next, we need to figure out the tax. So the problem says that the tax involves 10%. So we need to figure out 10% of 1.5. So we can make a new ratio table starting at 1.5 at 100%, and then we can again go down to 10. So 100 divided by 10 is going to be 10, and 1.5 divided by 10 is going to be 0.15. So tax is going to be 0.15, and then to find the final price for 1 can of soda, we add 0.15 to 1.5, and we get 1.65. But we're not done yet, because remember that Numa bought not 1, but 5 cans of soda. So to get the final price, we're going to take our number 1.65, multiply it by 5, and then we will get a final answer of 8.25. So the final answer is that Numa is going to pay $8.25 for her 5 cans of soda. But as I said, there's a second strategy we can use to solve the problem. So the second strategy we can call the total first strategy. So this involves first figuring out the retail price for all 5 cans of soda. So we draw out our bill, as always. So to find the retail price for all 5 cans of soda, we need to start by multiplying the price of one can of soda by 5, the number of the total cans of soda, to get $10. So in other words, our retail price isn't going to be $2 if we're using the total first strategy. It's going to be $10. Next, we still need to find the discount. To do this, we can, again, use our good old ratio tables, starting with $10 at 100%, and then dividing by 4 to get to 25. So then 10 divided by 4 is just going to be 2.5. So our discount is going to be $2.50. So the new sales price, which I'm marking N, is going to be 10 minus 2.5, or $7.50. Now, to find the sales tax of 10%, we're now going to have to take our new sales price of $7.50, plug it in for 100% because we're now figuring out 10% of 7.5, and then we can divide 100 by 10 to get to 10, and then we can divide 7.5 by 10 to get to 0.75. So in other words, the tax on $7.50 is going to be 75 cents. That's a 7. And the final price is going to be $7.50 plus 75, a final price of $8.25. So the final price is going to be the same as it was with the item first strategy, $8.25, except here, instead of multiplying by 5 at the very end, we just did it at the very beginning. So for our last problem, we're trying to buy a pair of Air Jordan 11 Retro Winleg 96 basketball shoes that have a retail price of $275. However, there's also a 20% sale and a 5% sales tax. So even though this number is a lot bigger than some of the other problems we've seen, we can still use the exact same strategy as before. So we can start off with making a bill, and then we're going to find the retail price, the discount, the new sales price, the tax, and the final price, which will be the answer. So the retail price, it already says, is $275. To find the discount, we just make another of our ratio tables with 100% being $275, and then to get to 20%, we can first go to 10% and then up to 20. So when we divide the top 275 by 10, we'll get this number with a decimal, 27.5. But then we can just multiply that by 2, just like we did down here, to get an answer of $55. The discount is going to be $55. And 275 minus 55 is going to be $220. So now we find the tax by drawing another ratio table. And remember, the 100% now isn't going to be $275 because we've already deducted our $55 discount from $275 to get to $220. So the 100% is now going to be $220, and we're going to find 5% of that by first dividing by 10 to get to 10, and then dividing by 2 to get to 5. So when we divide 220 by 10, we get $22, and when we divide 22 by 2, we get an answer of $11. So the tax then will be $11. And then to get the final price, we just add the new sales price to the tax to get our final answer of $231. So the pair of Air Jordans will wind up costing us $231.